And when she said she had an idea for something she wanted to write, it was a what they call a pre-yes.
You ever see that when a law firm is like over 180 years of experience? We should do that with our show, like 120 years of comedy experience.
So it was just a love fest, a bunch of women loving each other. I mean, that's kind of my brand.
I wasn't invited into like a group of dudes who like kept asking you to work with them. And when I had the realization that it was Tina Fey for me, that was like a pretty life-altering moment. And I'm just so grateful.
Welcome to Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with Girls5eva. I'm Sam Highfill, and I'm joined by show creator Meredith Scardino, executive producer Tina Fey, and star Reneé Elise Goldsberry, Sara Bareilles, Paula Pell, and Busy Phillips. I watched this show in one sitting. I'm not going to lie.
Good.
Ooh, that's impressive bladder.
Well, technically maybe 2 or 3, but okay. I mean, Meredith, I'd love to just start, at the beginning with this. Where did this kind of idea all come from for you?
Well, I really wanted to write a show about women, in my age group, like early mid 40s. And I just wanted to write like a really funny show and something that felt relevant to my life and the things I could have something to say. And when I was going through the process of trying to figure out, like, where am I going to set this? What am I going to do? I noticed all these girl groups were reuniting from the 90s. The Spice Girls were doing a reunion tour without Posh. Like even S Club 7 was reuniting as S Club 3 because they lost a few members. But I just thought Backstreet Boys were back. And I just thought, like, it was inspiring because, like, I came of age during, when all these groups were in their heyday. And I thought, like, oh, this is such fertile ground to be able to write about my life now and life now, and then also write about these characters, in the past during their heyday and looking back at the 90s, all kind of set against this very hyperbolic, like, world of pop music, which is insane. And so, like, I think when you're creating comedy, you're always looking for where is the hyperbolic stuff that you can, yes and make comedy out of. And it just felt like very fertile ground.
We are Girls5eva!
Why Girls5eva?
Because we're going to be famous 5eva.
They were a thing for a second back around 99, 2000.
I was a baby in 99, but I like it. It's old school. Makes me think of my mom's boobies.
Tina, what was kind of your first introduction to this? How did you come on board?
Well, Meredith had worked with Robert Carlock and me at Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And so we knew that she was one of the funniest people ever. And when she said she had an idea for something she wanted to write, it was what they call a pre-yes. But then when she pitched what it was, I thought, yeah, this feels really fertile. It feels like you have fun with the showbiz angles and the flashbacks, but it also could really have a lot of warmth at its core. It's always great when you have stories where characters kind of know each other, but can still surprise each other. And that's a great relationship between these ladies who were randomly put together to begin with, and then also haven't seen each other in a long time. So it lets them kind of get to know each other again.
Well, that's I love, because I think it's such a fascinating, I'm obsessed with like girl groups and boy bands in general, of like thrown together sometimes in hours. And then like Backstreet has been together for like almost 30 years, I think, which is kind of madness. But in terms of piecing together your group and obviously casting, Meredith, when you were writing this, did you have any of these women in mind?
When I was writing it, I did always have Paula in mind for Gloria as I was writing, but I was always thinking like, oh, she's in LA, she's working on AP Bio. Like, I have no idea if that'll ever come together. And so, and I was writing these characters, and then Tina and I sat down and we're looking at each of them, and sort of Sarah leaped out as like, oh, she's our Dawn. If we could convince her somehow to be part of this, it would be incredible because she was so funny and Waitress and hosting the Tonys and Tina's amazing at casting. So I really like defer to her and her instincts on so many of these parts. And we just, she just kind of kept making phone calls and people just kept saying yes. And I was just like, oh my God, this show's coming out to be amazing. Like at first we thought, oh, we'll just get maybe one of them can sing. But then we got 4, like a murderer's row of comedy and vocals. And we're just like, now these songs that are insane sound good. Also because we had Jeff Richman composing them and producing them and making them into earworms. And it just all these amazing things were coming together and creating something bananas for me. At least, but for casting, I give Tina so much credit. She's the big cruise ship like that, or tower. What I don't have a good analogy, but she landed all those planes. So I give her.
Talk about people this already famous and this talented. I can't even really call it casting. It's just like a series of Hail Marys that work because I had seen Sarah in Waitress, and then Paula had written a movie called Sisters that I had worked with Reneé on Sisters, and I sort of knew. Oh, Reneé is funny. And so, and then we just were like.
And we can teach her to sing.
Yeah. It's been hard. It's a lot of studio magic, but she sounds like she can kind of sing.
We fix it in the edit. We fix it.
And she was like, also Reneé was so funny in Co-op, the documentary now. And it was just cool to see, to think about two actors that are more synonymous with recording artists or Broadway, and then to show people just how funny Sarah and Reneé are, I think is going to be delightful for audiences. I mean, we and Paula and Busy have been just slaying jokes for decades. So we knew that was a layup.
Me more decades. Almost
100 years combined.
100 years 90, of experience. You ever see that when a law firm is like over 180 years of experience? We should do that with our show, like 120 years of comedy experience.
Oh God. Girls5eva booked a gig.
Reunion!
I don't know if we should do this.
Don't say that!
Was that good? I've tried out for the Housewives like 8 times. Cool.
Well, I mean, obviously for the actors who are on the receiving end of those phone calls, Sarah, I'll start with you of what kind of jumped out to you about like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of this project.
I really felt like, I want to give them a break. These are people who could just really probably use I bring. This was a complete pinch me. I was in the depths of despair in the middle of the pandemic, completely losing my mind, seated in the center of my existential crisis, and then getting a phone call saying like, Tina Fey and Meredith Scardino would like to have a Zoom call with you. And I'm like, and the world I believe has now ended. Like everything this is insane. And it was an immediate yes. I was very fearful. I think I screamed on that Zoom call. I was like, I just freaked out. And then I was like, that was very unprofessional, but I kind of I was born without a poker face. So I don't have there's no part of me that's like good at faking anything. So it was really like a leap of faith, and having trust in them for choosing me, and then my extraordinary co-stars, every single person, even Daniel and Jonathan, people who are not on the screen right now, and Ashley and Erica. It was just a cast of all-stars. Everyone, I think, lifted each other up, and we were also happy to be there. Working in COVID, it was really extraordinarily hard, and so we made it work, and it felt like a miracle.
Reneé, what about you? What was your kind of first reaction to this?
Well, I just think it's funny that they said Hail Mary pass because it feels like, you catch that fly ball at the World Series, like you're the one that gets it in your glove. That's how it feels when you get a phone call from people that you are just so enamored with, creatively and just politically and on down the list. So I did know Sarah, and I knew Tina. I did not know Meredith, but I got the call that just said the show is called Girls5eva. I didn't know what that meant. And then I read the pilot, and within a page, like just that joke alone was, just if that was the only thing funny in the whole pilot, I would have been in. It was just it's just such a wonderful way to discover why a show is called I just like spit, take, laughter, that whole thing. It just gave me so much joy. And I was also afraid, but there are just times in your life when an opportunity comes across that you feel, is really bigger than, a job or the next thing to do for your career. It just feels like it's going to save your life. And this was one of those times.
Let's go to Paula. What was your kind of first reaction to this project?
Well, my wife and I had not that long before that, a few months before that, had moved to North Carolina during the pandemic. We just decided to get closer to the East Coast to our families and hunker down. We had a ton of animals, and we left LA because we had a really little house, and we left LA when Tina, texted me and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about a job." And I have known and loved Tina for hundreds of decades. And I knew that anything she was going to be involved in was going to be hilarious. Then when she told me what it was, I remembered, of course, knowing how funny Meredith is and how amazing her brain is, that a year before that, we had gone to eat sushi one night, and they were there pitching Girls5eva, and they told me about it. They showed me like just a couple little fun visuals of what they were thinking of different things. So it just all came together in this flurry. And you make plans of like, I'm going to go quit life for a while and be in the woods. And then suddenly there's a job to take you to New York City. If it's something great, you do it. I also felt like I'm 58 now, and I finally got to the place where I have just decided I'm only doing things I love. I'm only doing things, no matter what way I have to figure out to survive in my life with my career, I am only doing what I love, and life is too short. And we all learned that. And so this was one of those that came in that category that, I will adore this. I'm a total musical theater nerd. So to have, Reneé in there, which I loved working with her before a few times, and then loved Sarah's music, and Busy, I'd only met a couple times, but I adored her. So it was just a love fest, a bunch of women loving each other. I mean, that's kind of my brand. And that's where I froze.
Busy, what about you? What kind of drew you in?
Similar to everybody, I came to the conclusion several years ago that I would only do things that I loved. And that basically meant that I wasn't going to act anymore. And I mean, that's just true, guys. Let's be real. Like, it mostly sucks for women. And the pandemic was really hard for everyone. And I'm saying that from, I had a lot of privilege going into the pandemic and didn't have to, struggle with a lot of things that a lot of people did. But that being said, we were in New York because I was having my kid's asthmatic, and the fires had started in LA. And so we're like, well, we'll go to New York for 3 weeks while the fires are really bad, because we couldn't breathe. While we were there, Tina DM'd me and was like, "Why are you in New York?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude, but I might just buy a house here. I don't know what we're doing." Like, it was just pandemic brain, crisis. And then a week later or something, same text that she sent Paula. So that's good to know. Give me a call I have a job question.
Yes, it was a form text.
Wow.
1,000 people.
Yeah. We were the only two that responded.
I got the one about
we had to lip sync for our life to get this, Smith. We had to for our lives.
Split, though, Paula, I was like, she's got it. She's got it when you went down. Anyway, and yeah, like as soon as Tina sort of just started telling me what it was and what the part was, I couldn't imagine a world in which, I mean, it's my dream come true. It's as if Meredith and Tina like wrote exactly what's perfect for me and what I've always wanted to do, but didn't quite know that that's what I always wanted to do, and then handed it to me on a little platter. From there, it was just like everything was like kismet, kind of. I didn't know Sarah. I was a fan. I didn't know Reneé. I had seen Hamilton more times than maybe she has. Have pictures with her as a fan. I'm a huge fan of Paula for many, many years, and Meredith's writing in just everyone who's ever worked with Meredith speaks so highly of her. And I've been doing this for a really long time. And I always have been, bummed that I wasn't invited into like a group of dudes who like kept asking you to work with them. And when I had the realization that it was Tina Fey for me, that was like a pretty life-altering moment. And I'm just so grateful.
We don't need Larry anymore.
Try to sound horny.
The messages in our songs are bad.
Jailbait, great sex, but it's our first time.
I have to say one last thing about my joy of it is knowing that Jeff was going to be writing music. And I didn't know Sarah would be writing music for it. But Jeff Richmond, who I, have known also for many decades and have loved his music, and then loved Mean Girls on Broadway. And then between Sarah, Reneé, and Jeff, my Broadway nerdery was really, really kicked up. I had a big Broadway boner, so I was very excited about it.
By the way, I also saw Mean Girls more times than maybe Tina saw.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
What's so funny is that when we were talking about it, I feel like you guys warned me. They're like, it's not a musical. Like, don't get excited. There's not that much music. It's really more of a thing. And it feels, I was kind of like, okay, but we got to sing a lot.
Yeah, we sang a lot.
We got to sing.
It became that thing where, we would write these little snippets of songs because you can't, we didn't have, 4 minutes, during an episode to necessarily show a full song. And we would write these little snippets. And then Jeff and I were, talking, and it's like, we should write the full song versions of these. And then we ended up expanding a lot of those together and then making them into these, so you hear them over the credits, which is pretty cool. And then we're also, dropping an album, and Sarah wrote an original song that's just absolutely gorgeous.
Dropping an album.
Yeah. So it was very organic because I think as someone who's not super musical, I can't sing. I, loved writing all the little dumb songs that we would show.
You're a good lyricist, man.
Your lyrics, dude.
Oh yeah,
amazing lyrics.
But I mean, I didn't know how much, that gear that I had that gear so much until the show but I loved writing all the little music snippets and stuff that we wrote in Kimmy Schmidt, and that was always one of my favorite parts of writing for that show. And so I went into it thinking, okay, this is a comedy and there's music, and Jeff will obviously help with that and steer that ship. And then as we got in there, and it was so fun, and I had so much fun working with him and our writers, and Tina helped out too on some of the music, and it was just such a gift. I was so excited by it, just so incredibly excited. And then to hear these guys sing some of the dumbest lyrics you've ever heard in your life.
This morning in the shower, Sarah and everyone, I was like, what is that song? Why do I have this? I'm afraid. What is that song? And then I was like, I'm afraid and saying not worth it. Oh my God, it's the song.
I mean,
I'm going to sleep with my dad's corpse and all these fantastic lyrics.
You write the dumbest, craziest things. And then Sara Bareilles, there's one song in episode 4 where she sort of sings this after an all-nighter and not eating, following the Dolly Parton method. She writes this very unhinged song all about her deepest fears. And it's gorgeous as she sings, I'm scared I'm going to get decapitated by a stop sign on a windy day. And it's
every take, it's gorgeous.
Incredible. And that's another thing that was a huge eye opener for me, is that you could write songs that didn't necessarily have to rhyme or scan. And these talented group of people could make them sound amazing. There was one point where we had we booked Vanessa Williams. We had the script exist, but there was no singing, and it's we have Vanessa Williams, we should have her sing something. That would be amazing. And it was scripted that she brings up this old song of theirs, Tiny Butts Forever. And so that the night before, I was just playing around with some of the jokes that would maybe be in that Tiny Butts Forever song, but none of it rhymed. And I just sent it to Jeff and I go, is there anything, could you ever make this sound like a song? And he bloop, 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 bloops. And it sounds like a TLC song. It's awesome. So I was like, wow, I don't even have to rhyme any of this stuff anymore. He's that good.
My favorite lyric in that is, this will be what people want forever, right? Or like forever.
Yeah. TBF, tiny butts forever, $2 silver pancakes and jeans. This will be what people like forever.
They'll only like tiny butts and jeans.
Yeah,
butts will never come in big. That won't be cool. Big butts never.
Just flat little butts with a 1-tooth zipper in your jeans.
And the sad thing is my character is singing it it never applied to her. I love it.
Probably wearing flattening.
So sad.
Flattening face.
So sad.
Levi flattening jeans.
I'm gonna write us a hit. An anthem to things that aren't perfect but are still great. That's like us. We're gonna have the biggest comeback in pop music history. Everybody sing from your diaphragm.
Okay, which one?
I will say, I remember when Sarah started to sing the I'm Afraid song, and I was like, oh, is this incredible? I love this melody. And then it actually started coming in, and I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it's
pushing the boundary of what you're allowed to love.
I was just going to say, I think that when you sang that, Sarah, and then we hear it in the score, when it was put into the score, the melody, because I did the same thing when I was going, wait, I love that melody. What is that song? And I think it's the perfect metaphor for this show, because there's so much, my niece always calls it heart itch, is like, there's so much like delicious heart in it. And then there's just complete fantastic hard comedy absurdity that I love that combination in life and in television.
You have that combination, Paula.
Yes.
Well, God love you.
Described yourself.
This was not supposed to circle around to me.
Remember these ladies? Girls5eva!
I just did mandatory sensitivity training. See, I air honk now. Growing, learning, ally.
Well, I do want to touch on, obviously, we talked about that song came about after the amazing Dolly Parton of it all. Like,
my God.
Oh my God. One of my favorite parts this season for sure. How did that come up? Were you just like, I'm writing Dolly Parton, I got to play it?
No, Samantha, here's what happened. Think of all the Hail Marys that we took that worked, right? So we're shooting the pandemic. We just kept thinking that somehow we were going to get Dolly Parton. And we were racing against the clock, and it's like, okay, it shoots in 9 days. We got this. And we just kept trying in the middle of the pandemic to reach Dolly Parton. We never got a hold of Dolly Parton. We never got a response. I do not blame her for not responding. And so then it just became a game of like, this shoots on tomorrow, like, or it was like 2 days away. And then it was just like, who's around? Any acting job I've ever gotten was like literally who's around. An update. It's from like, it's all. So that's what happened. The hair and makeup team just did a lot. Like we covered my eyebrows with wax and drew new eyebrows. And here's what I didn't mind about it. Real tight tapes. Did not mind that one bit.
Pull it back. Also,
did
Tina,
like your gloves.
And they didn't dub your voice in, and your voice was perfect brilliance and hilarious. And so Dolly, your laugh and everything. So they didn't do it all. They didn't do it.
No.
Take it in.
Tina's an amazing mimic. She's got such a good talent for that.
3 days later, after I rapped, I saw Melissa Villaseñor do it on SNL, and I was like, if I knew, I could have called Melissa. It's fun to be in scenes with Sarah.
Yeah, what were those
So
scenes
good.
for you? I mean, I can't imagine. They were probably.
I was trying to like honestly not like be an idiot. I just like be cool. She's just Tina Fey. It's like no big deal. It's just like she's just Tina Fey dressed as Dolly Parton, and you're like playing one-on-one basketball with her in the middle of the night. What is this life? It was crazy.
That was my favorite part.
It was really fun because the scenes got increasingly more and more kind of unhinged as Dawn is kind of losing her mind. And then I was trying to like be playful, but I also was feeling very self-conscious, to be honest. So it was great to have Tina there, and she's obviously such a pro, and the set feels super safe. So, but I'm literally like looking into one of my icons' face dressed as Dolly Parton, and I don't know how to process this moment in time.
I need to go from like full like pandemic sweatpants rocket launched into full Dolly Parton. But, oh God, heels. Oh God.
And you were in that costume for, at least 14 hours that day, I think.
But I would say all of you guys wore at different times some major costumes.
Tina, you had to wear a minimizer bra for Dolly, right?
Wear a minimizer bra, yeah.
You had to tame it down, way down.
4 grown ladies trying to be pop stars again. Strap in.
Girls5eva.
Too early. Oh, wow. That was Sprite.
Well, I do also, for Busy, want to touch on, I mean, Summer and Kev is the most hilarious things. What was your experience like, obviously working with Andrew and kind of like...
Wait, look at what I have right here. You guys, I have it next to me always. Like, it's our Tiger Beat cover. It actually hangs when I'm doing my podcast and stuff. It hangs on my wall so I can see it, but I took it down so I could show anyone while I'm doing press if they wanted to see it. Working with Randall's is a dream for anyone who ever gets a chance to work with Andrew Rannells. He's truly like an icon. He's an icon. And also, I saw him in Book of Mormon when he first...
More times than he did.
Well, no, just the one time. I could only, at that point in my life, Reneé, I could only afford the one time.
Me too.
You know?
Me too.
But yeah, I mean, the dynamic of Summer and Kev is kind of just like, it was like where I actually drew a lot of the stuff for the character from. We were really lucky because one of the benefits of the COVID shooting, I guess, I don't know, was that Mare and the incredible writing team had a lot of the episodes already done. So we got to read ahead. So you knew, you know, a lot of times I've been on shows where you like get pages as you go in an episode.
Word by word.
Swear to God, you know, and you're like, wait, does this make any sense with the scene that we shot yesterday? And they're like, no, but it'll be fine. You know, we had this whole thing that we could like reference and look at. And so I kind of knew what the journey was going to be with Summer and Kevin. It was a little bit how I built the character from that starting place of somebody who's just not living an authentic, real life, even at age. Well, I think Summer's supposed to be 39, right?
Sure. I think she's about 39.
Well, we reference her age in it. Like you were going to save it for
something about her 40th birthday. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But she only celebrates half birthdays.
Half birthdays. I loved working with him so much and I just adore him. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, I want to see more from Boys
Next Door, his boy band.
Yeah.
We did record a song.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Amazing. Yeah. And he's hilarious.
So like the record,
the
for real, the record is very good. Like all the songs sound incredible. And I've heard them all at this point and it's like amazing.
Well, Sarah, how did it come about that you wrote a song? Was that always part of the plan?
Not for me, but it was it may have been the plan for someone else. I just attribute it to the generous kind of like inclusive. It was a very inviting musical space. And I remember Tina said in our first meeting was like, if you were excited about contributing musically, you don't have to, which I think at that moment was the right thing to say because I was very intimidated to step into this because I've never done it before. And I was like, even knowing my lines felt like a lot. And the intensity and the pace of television was something definitely I needed to acclimate to. But I remember it was before one of our short breaks. Jeff had pulled me aside and said, there's this song, you know, we know kind of the concept. It's for the finale song, the last thing they sing. And then by that time I was so in love with the cast and it felt really fun. And we're working with, you know, some lyrical ideas from Meredith and Jeff and Tina. It was very collaborative. They're being really generous and letting me say like, I wrote the song, but it was really a team effort. And it was just so fun. It was a love letter to the women. And it was about being perfectly imperfect and celebrating our flaws and to stop apologizing for the parts of ourselves that I think at one point we wished we would have changed and to just embrace the person that has shown up. And so it was really fun and getting to sing it in the finale episode, that those scenes when we were shooting those scenes, that felt like the rap party that we never were allowed to have because of
in that beautiful theater and to not have been in a theater for so long. And I had a break for a pretty long break at one point and I just went in the back and sat in the theater seat just to be sitting in a theater and to see people doing something live. Like we were just all so hungry for it. It was just really emotional. Those were emotional days.
I feel like
all the best ways.
I think that the COVID is, you know, not COVID, but the silver lining, you know, metaphors of COVID really are the other character in the show. I mean, we didn't know ever if we were going to be able to work the next day. Right. And we were all so grateful just to be in the presence of somebody that wasn't in our immediate family without a mask on. And I mean, not that I don't love mine, but it was just fun. We were just so, you know, we did this in a very humbling time and a time that, you know, we were Sarah and I were crying together in the trailer when the insurrection happened. And then we went to set. Like this was the backdrop of this experience. And I just kind of offhand said, you know, I want to be with women laughing right now. Every single day, I was like, thank God. That's why I said it earlier. It's saving my life. And our hope with the show is that life-saving love, joy that we felt that makes me want to cry when I say it. I mean, I see it on the screen and we hope that it's contagious because the world still needs it. So we hope that you feel this like crazy love we have for each other. And on top of the second chance, wonderful story that the women are getting in the show, the characters, I hope you feel that on us as well. All of us, not just in front of the camera, but all of us, because it's a present we want to share.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I feel like the chemistry between these four is just so, I think it leaps off the screen. It's awesome.
Gonna be famous 5eva, 'cause forever's too short, too short. Gonna be famous together, 'cause that's one more than together. So what are you waiting? 5 Girls 5eva.
Well, I do want to touch on, I feel like a couple of you have mentioned it. Obviously, we have all women here. Obviously, not to say that there are not very important men involved with the show. We've mentioned Jeff a lot. But it is incredible to have so many women, especially like anchoring your cast, running the show. What is the biggest difference you all feel in working for women than men in Hollywood? Like, do you feel a difference when you're on a show surrounded by more women?
I mean, you do. Yeah, of course.
You're uniquely qualified to answer that.
Yeah, I'm super qualified to answer that. Until my own late night talk show, had never worked with a female showrunner. And I've been on every TV show that's happened since 1999. Just kidding. But first of all, like there's efficiency. I mean, there's a care that is taken of your actors and a consideration that sometimes gets lost as a woman being on set when you're surrounded by all men. And that extends beyond, just your concerns about what your character is saying, but also, what you're going through in that moment in your own personal life. And there's a support that is, just there. And when you're surrounded by women, we had a ton of men on the crew, but I do think that having this very female forward energy really opened a lot of those guys, crew dudes. I mean, the heart to hearts that I had with some camera operators in the last.
Are you talking about Dave? Dave. How great is Dave?
Dave is a special soul.
He's the special soul.
I don't know. I've not necessarily had that experience on other shows with crews. Now, I did have a crew member on another show tell me that he jacked off to me, but not really share with me.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So you can see,
one does.
As one does. As is appropriate in a workplace environment. Anyway, my point is that I think that it really permeates the entire set culture, and having also to deal with like the COVID protocols, like Reneé said, first of all, like it bonded us so instantly, but everyone on that crew, working crew members for many, many years, were so thrilled to be back at work. Everyone took it so serious, the protocols on set and off, so seriously, and were so respectful of us and our space and the fact that we were the most vulnerable ones when we were working. And so we just, and Meredith was, the leader, and Tina, it was.
And we want to, we're talking about things and we're making light of them, but we want to do it in a way that is right. I mean, I think that's the most important thing about having women, run the ship. It's that, we want to make sure that we're not making fun of women, and that's a really fine line, right? It's like we are sending up, we are lifting ourselves up, right? And we're naked in front of you in a way that's powerful, not exploitative. That's the thing that you feel like I can sit on this bed with my foot behind me and do whatever because I feel safe in this moment because I know I know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And as an actor, sometimes you have so little power. Not only did you not write it, but you're not going to edit it. You don't understand. You just have no idea what's going to happen with something. And so you just throw yourself in and you're vulnerable. And in this situation, I always felt like what this is going to be at the end is going to be something that I'm proud of.
I also think it really mirrors the story itself, because they were a girl group back then, but they were a girl group kind of, in some ways, it was all through the male gaze. Like, it was like the guys were putting them together, throwing them out there, spitting them out, making them go, locking them in tanning booths, whatever. And now it's like they're back together and it's just them. They lost their manager, they lost their agent. It's just them. And so it's all kind of on their own terms and figuring out what their voice is. And that's kind of like what we were doing too on the show. Just by it being a mostly female endeavor.
All right. Well, this has been Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with Girls5eva. Thank you all so much for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.